Good afternoon, everyone. I call the meeting of the September 28th TAC to order. I'm Dave Rivda with SCTA staff, going in for the chair, and go around and do introduction. Starting to my right.
Yep, Chris Barney, SCTA.
Derek Montana, City of Cloverdale.
Trina Wilson, City of Santa Rosa.
Ken Einstein, City of Honolulu.
Clay Thistle, Healdsburg.
Mario Landeros for Sebastopol.
Hunter McLaughlin, Sonoma County, Public Works.
Elizabeth Tyrese, Sonoma County Regional Parks.
Mona Ibrahim, Town of Windsor.
Craig Scott, City of Cotati.
Edie Takata, City of Roanoke.
And online, starting with Joanne.
Hi, Joanne Parker with Smart. Sorry, I can't be there in person.
And Michael, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Michael ABAG with Golden Gate Transit. Just looking.
And Adam and Alexander, if you could introduce yourselves for the record real quick.
Where is my... Hi, Alexander Oseguera, Active Transportation Planner for the City of Santa Rosa.
And we also have Adam Garcia from the CTA staff. With that, we will go to public comment. And if there's anyone wishing to make public comment for any items that are not on the regular agenda, please do so now. Not seeing any members of the public with their hand raised, we'll go to the minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of August 24th.
Craig Scott, move to approve.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And that passes. And with the next item, we'll go to the MTC ABAG final draft administrative guidance for the transit oriented communities policy and turn that over to Chris Barney.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to provide some information on the regional transit oriented communities policy for you all. This information has already gone to the planners a couple times, so they're working on this and looking through the guidance. We've talked to the transit TAC about this as well, but wanted to make sure you're aware of this policy since it could, there are requirements that will be attached to future ABAG funding cycles and other discretionary funding sources that MTC administers. So, just to provide a brief update on this, I've linked the gory details in the staff report. So if you want to dig into all the formulas and specifics, there's a lot of information there. But MTC is really wanting to make sure that there's an increase in housing supply and especially affordable housing around transit stations, and specifically in Sonoma County, the SMART stations, the half-mile radius of SMART stations. They also want to prioritize connections with and to and from transit-rich areas. So, but here in Sonoma County, it is that half-mile radius of a SMART station. They have indicated that these requirements would be tied to ABAG for funding and potentially other funding sources. And they're wanting jurisdictions to demonstrate compliance by 2026. There are a number of different factors and requirements that are outlined in a lot of detail in the documentation. One is demonstrating minimum residential and commercial densities for new development, so in the zoning code. Another is having policies prioritizing affordable housing production, preservation, and preventing displacement. Also having parking management policies in place for those areas, and doing some analysis looking at station access, including complete streets projects, and doing some sort of gap analysis for those areas. So as far as how they've indicated that jurisdictions will be able to comply, they'll have a checklist, some sort of form. So they're still working on these. We should have an example available sometime soon. And then they're requiring a resolution from the city council or board of supervisors, basically certifying that decision-making board is demonstrating compliance. So Yeah, the planners are on board. They've been having discussions about this for the last half a year. ABAG MTC staff have been out a few times to answer questions, so I would encourage you maybe to just touch base with your planning staff to, make sure they understand what the requirements are and that there won't be any hiccups when you're trying to access some of those funding sources, that you'll be able to actually fill out those checklists, get those resolutions signed, and be lined up for OBAG 4 and maybe other funding. One other thing I did want to mention is, especially for the jurisdictions with future potential smart stations, some of the other discretionary funding could be slowed down if you're not able to demonstrate compliance earlier. So maybe pay special attention, Healdsburg and Cloverdale, especially to these requirements. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of the policy. So there's a lot more detail. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Ken?
So two questions for Petaluma North Station, the development, and I need to confirm this, I think has most of the funding, but do you think there's anything that we need to do as part of this TOC policy for that development at Petaluma North Station?
It's already fully funded, right?
Yeah.
I believe they just need to apply for the tax credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just shoot for trying to get this all done by 2026.
Okay.
So, but it maybe wouldn't hurt to reach out directly to MTC staff and get their thoughts on it as well. So, and they've also discussed what compliance means, whether or not it's a yes, no compliance, or, if a jurisdiction's demonstrating, positive movement towards complying, if that'll count as well. So that's still kind of up in the air. I think MTC staff is leaning towards, if you're making an effort, you're trying to demonstrate compliance, and you're, making some good progress towards what they want. They, may probably being under compliance. That's kind of the direction you're going.
So do all the municipalities, we all are going to need to go forward with a council resolution though? Okay, thank you.
Quick question, with regard to Healdsburg, there is a station that is planned.
Yeah.
And partially funded, and looking better and better. Any insight on that, or how we should move forward?
I would try and get something together as soon as possible on that. And, I know Joanne's on, she may be able to comment it, but SMART staff is definitely aware of this requirement. MTC is aware of the potential issues as well. So I think they're hopefully willing to be a little flexible on this, but, I think the work may need to be expedited, especially for Healdsburg. I would recommend taking a look at it now and figuring out how to get this going as soon as possible.
Okay.
And Chris and Clay and Joanne, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I believe that Healdsburg is also pursuing the PDA designation as well.
That's right. Yeah. So some of that work may be already done as part of that PDA application. Yeah, and please reach out to us at SCTA, either the planners or you from the engineering side. We may be able to help out with deciphering some of the formulas and lining up data and stuff like that too. So the requirements are somewhat dense. So, but we're willing to kind of wade in and help try and unravel some of that too.
Somewhat dense and not finalized yet, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Any more questions in the room? Any questions or comments from online?
We'll work through it with you all. I mean, this influences the money that MTC controls, but don't panic. It's not every piece of money on the planet, but it would be good to show good faith effort once they have finalized their guidelines.
See, there's
One more thing, the anticipated finalization of the guidelines, any?
Yeah, it's in the staff report. They've taken the draft to the commission. I believe it's going back October.
Okay, here, yeah.
Final. Yeah, final will be published in December or January. December 2023, January 2024.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
With that, we will go to the next item with a VMT update from Chris.
Yeah, that's me too. This will be pretty short, but I just, I may have said this at the last TAC meeting, but we were successful in getting grant funding to investigate developing a VMT mitigation banking and exchange program. So we're just working through the contracting with Caltrans for that project right now. And hope to, we should be able to start work on that in January. So we're taking a resolution item to our board next month in October, and we're asking them to give us the blessing to start procurement and get a consultant on board to start that project. So hopefully we'll be able to get work started probably next March after we get a consultant in place. So that's our plan right now. And, as part of that project, we'll have a project TAC or guiding steering committee, and we'll love your participation and participation from the planning side as well on that project.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any questions in the room? Any questions or comments from online?
Just that we also received a grant from the same source for our quality of life study, and I'm sure there will be overlap, Chris, in your work and the work that TAM, the Transportation Authority Marin, also got funded for their similar package to yours. So there's 3 grants all funded from the same fund source that'll be sort of layered on top of each other, hopefully in creating an even bigger and more productive package of work.
Good to hear. Any other questions or comments? All right. With that, we'll move on to item 6 for measuring Go Sonoma. Item 6.1 is just an update on the status of invoice and obligations for any of the Measure M projects. So that's available for your review. Once there's any comments, we'll go on to item 6.2, which is the status of the annual report letters. Thank you everyone for getting your letters in. We have received all of them, and Sean is coordinating with some of you on questions we may have, but we'll reach out as needed for any clarifications or updates. And then with that, unless there's any questions or comments, we'll move on to the next item, which is regional information update. 7.1 is the inactive federal obligation status list. I know we got an update from county public infrastructure on that. So just a reminder, everyone, please work closely with Caltrans to submit your invoices in a timely manner and reach out to us if you need your assistance working with local assistance on that. Unless there's any comments or questions, I'll move on to the next item for item 7.2. MTC's active transportation program technical assistance. We mentioned this as well at the CBPAC meeting on Tuesday, but MPC is putting out a call for potential projects for people looking for assistance for the upcoming ATV cycle 7 and also the following ATV cycle 8. So we encourage all of you to, if you have a project that you're thinking about that you may want some help with, please fill out the form that's linked in the Google Doc linkment in your agenda there. We definitely want to help you all submit your projects and get a good bench of projects to be able to convene for future ATV cycles. I should note that this time again, we're also working with the CPC staff to have another GP gap. Talking. So we're recording with California Transportation Commission staff to have an ATV guidelines branch workshop here, probably sometime in November or December. Once we have a date identified, we'll let you all know so that you can come and that you meet CPC staff in person. And we're looking at potentially even having some potential in-person site visits. If you have projects in mind, just let us know. Any questions from the group or comments?
Yeah, this is the one where there's a rolling balance for each agency. Is there a way?
No, that's the TDA Article 3.
Oh,
So this is the competitive active transportation program with the statewide competition and the MTC's regional competition.
what's the amount of the funding?
I believe there's about 500 million available in the next cycle.
Or seven, sorry, seven.
Any other questions or comments in the room or online?
Just, it's regarding grant preparation, right? And not the delivery side.
Right. Yeah, they're looking at providing various technical assistance. I think maybe hiring some grant writers, maybe helping you improve your applications, stuff like that.
And so admittedly, I just looked at the forum today. So how a finding is filling out the form. So for example, it says, what would you be interested in? Would you be interested in technical assistance for community outreach? If I check that, am I bound to something, or if we change our mind?
I'm assuming that they're flexible. I think they're just trying to get understanding of what
Yeah.
everyone's looking for.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Thank you.
The application is very vague.
Yeah,
So you only have like 300 words you can put into a box. And you only end up needing to answer like 5 questions,
okay,
so
okay.
pretty generic.
If we want to lock ourselves into something that.
Yeah, I will say we submitted 2 projects under the survey, and one of them is the Elnoka. Which we had been talking, I think you were in a meeting with Ken too. About coordinating on that project, so we'll be in touch with you. I hope that they can give us some technical assistance for that. We'd like it.
Does technical assistance involve in match? Like
Not-
20%?
They didn't say match this time, no.
This time. Yeah, right, I mean, that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like an NTC.
There
contract
wasn't-
is match.
There wasn't a lot of information available, like we couldn't even, for just the technical assistance portion, we couldn't tell what the maximum amount was. They had something on there that said 200,000, but then in parentheses, it said for consultant assistance. So it wasn't clear if it was anything
Yeah,
or so, yeah, there's not a lot of info,
okay,
unfortunately.
it's actually.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none in the room or online, we'll move on to item 7.3, which is the packet from the last week's local streets and roads programming and delivery working group meeting agenda. Just to bring up a couple of things for your attention, there are some outstanding issues that folks need to address for your OBAG 3 projects. I know the county and Cloverdale are still having their housing elements reviewed by HCD. I think those should be approved hopefully in the next few months. And then I think there was a couple other jurisdictions where you may need to do the resolution on local support. The MTC packet does outline any outstanding issues, but be sure to get those taken care of for December, because that's MPC's deadlines for projects and event to get everything taken care of. Otherwise, you'll get deleted from the 10th and you'll lose your funding. We don't want that to happen. So if you need any assistance with anything, please feel free to reach out to Sean and Chris on any items that you have. Also, just to note that the next round of TAC funding is coming up, and that's another OBAG requirement to make sure that you're staying on top of their pavement condition. And let everyone be aware that the next call for riders from ABC for TAC funding is coming up, and make sure that you look at that. Other than that, if there's any other questions on the packet there, just let us know. That we'll move on to item 8, the project initiation document work plan update. We didn't have Caltrans reach out to us on this last time, but we did get a request this year to update our project initiation work plan. If you have any type of project that you're starting on that impacts the highway system, you need to have a PID or similar document. We do have a list in your staff report of the projects that were on the list last time around, and some of them have made movements. For example, downtown Windsor Underpass got an exception recently for a project started with the project report. That's moving forward. The 121 8th Street East project, the bid is being wrapped up right now. We should hopefully have it signed in the next couple of weeks. There's a couple that we want to check in on the status there, but one of her have the bike pedal crossing the 101. So ED, I don't know if you have a status update on when you might be working on that PID with Caltrans.
Yeah, so, you will probably want to change on this, the 12/22 initiation date. Because We'll probably change it to more like May. We are hoping we are hired, an engineer that puts in engaged, so that we have staff capacity. That is the change, but everything else, we're gonna keep rolling to be on this 24-25 work plan for Caltrans.
Sounds good. We also heard back from Windsor already that the Rada interchange is a few years out, so we'll move that back into the work plan. I don't know if Santa Rosa has any updates on the 4th and Farmers Lane intersection improvements, if you're gonna be for that project anytime soon.
I do not know.
And then lastly, the last project we had on our existing notes, I believe, was the Railroad Avenue interchange. I know the county is wrapping up a Penn Grove area study, so I'm assuming that won't start until after that study is done. And whether or not the county will be the leader SCTA. The only other project that I know is kind of on the radar is Dry Creek.
Yeah. The schedule is probably a little bit overly ambitious.
Okay.
So it's probably, moving in and out about 2 years as funding accumulates.
And then I think the last one. I think Shiloh interchange was also on the list, and I think that's becoming more of a pressing need with the recent casino hearing last night.
We'll see how it goes, huh? I don't know.
Guess we'll wait and see on that one. Does anyone else have a project, Ken?
So we've been talking with Caltrans for a long time on Lakeville, and I went out there with the traffic sergeant and for 15 minutes, and I was horrified at the near misses. And so we're doing some a 2-day survey on it, a camera type survey. Jeff Stutzman knows more about the details, but we're really trying to get Caltrans to move on it. It's been a struggle, and I don't know if this PID work plan here is any way to help move things forward, but boy, we need some help on it to keep it in front of Caltrans. And we'll probably end up having to pay for a significant amount of it, but we just want to change the lane configuration so it's a little bit less like a drag strip leaving Petaluma, and we don't have the crashes and fatalities that we've had on that. So I just want to bring that forward, and if you can see any way to work with Caltrans to initiate that.
It's a list. And Ken, do you have any update on your access across 101 project? I wasn't sure if that's going to look at the criminal process.
Yeah, I think the November meeting, I'll have a presentation, and we're basically have selected a consultant for that work. So yeah.
That's good.
I have a question here. For project initiating document. What is the threshold requiring bid?
Anytime you pitch the Caltrans right away over a PID, if it's a small enough project, it might just be an encroachment permit or the design engineering evaluation report. You can sometimes do that document if you're not widening any structures, not having any right of way involvement, and really no complex CEQA actions. So it just really depends. And we had that presentation a few months ago from the encroachment permit office that went into it a little bit, but any kind of new roundabout traffic signal generally, I think will require a PID for the most part.
You said, and no complex CEQA. So why I'm asking this is that in the city's circulation element, the general plan has been a project identified as a roundabout at 160 Covert. I think you probably been involved in that conversation. So to my knowledge, there's never been a project initiation on that. The question comes up, what's it take to get it going? So feels like this is the realm that we would go, but it's clearly gonna involve quite a bit of environmental analysis.
Right, and for a project like that, generally, if it's not on Caltrans's shop radar for safety project, they'll require a local agency to do the PID document. and they'll perform oversight for it, so then. For new roundabout like that, you generally Caltrans's quote they'll do for their costs to do the pit is about 175,000, and then you have. Your consultant and staff time on top of that, so it's probably in the neighborhood of $500,000 just to do a pit and document.
Right. So it's gonna have to get a little more attention.
Well, we will coordinate with all of you to make sure that we have those updates before we send this off to Caltrans, make sure we're not missing anything. Just look around and see if there's any more comments or questions in the room or online. See none, we'll move on to our next item. And the agenda, I think it's our board agenda for October. We have the minutes. We have a contract for the next executive director, which hasn't been announced yet. And we have grant acceptance for the VMT mitigation pilot program. We have a contract amendment with Parsons for the design of the 116-121 roundabout project, which is starting construction hopefully pretty soon. We have resolution with local support for the step funding for the landscaping between Katani and Windsor. We have a status update that you just saw for the measuring and reporting letters. We have update from RCPA on the community-wide greenhouse gas inventory and program update. We have the adoption for all of SCTA, RCPA, SRM, and TFCA budgets. And then some updates to our personnel policies based on updates the county did recently. Resolution of commendation for Suzanne on the event of her retirement after 26 years as executive director. And then reports out on our committees and our usual reports from our various teams here at SCTA. So any questions on our agenda? Let us know. With that, we'll go to item 10, our roundtable discussion on grants being pursued, the bid environment, and any other I'd like to talk about. And then I'll start to my left and start with Edie.
We're not pursuing any grants right now. I don't think we really have anything to share about our bid environment that's really particularly relevant. Unless we look at the trail project. And I look at Elizabeth as where it's so, I mean, trail to Green Creek Regional Park. We did put the two projects that are related to that, the trail itself and the traffic signal. We got 2 bids for the trail itself, well over enough over the engineer's estimate, so that we're reconsidering strategy. Let's do about that. But we did have a third party look at the bid itself, and the bids were maybe it's just us being a city. They were not trail builders, but at any rate, we'll know more to come on that. The traffic signal came in pretty close enough to engineer's estimate. It was, I think it was 500 was our estimate, and it came a little like about 40,000. So we could live with that, but if we don't have a trail yet to connect to, no traffic signal yet. So more to come on that. So it's not really so much the bid environment. It's, you know, what is it? Was it supplies? Was it something else? I think for an engineer's estimates to run just an interesting project. So it's all gone.
Nothing to report.
Nothing being pursued, well, nothing specific being pursued, but we did get a AHSC grant. So did we already see that?
I don't know if we announced it at this committee. I think Ken mentioned the grant in Petaluma as well, but you know,
Yeah, so it's Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities. So it's Smart got part of it. They got 1.5 million, and SCT got some of it to buy a new electric vehicle bus and maintenance for the next 5 years, I think. And then it's tied to a Kashaya affordable housing unit at the north end of Windsor, so then it carries us from that down to Windsor Road to do complete streets on Old Redwood Highway. So it'll bus stop enhancements and full sidewalk gap replacements and bike facilities. So,
Great news.
yeah.
As I mentioned, the countywide ped bike group, Sonoma County Regional Parks received a matching grant from Ag and Open Space District for Sonoma Shellville acquisition. This is acquiring abandoned railroad right away, parallel to 8th Street East. That was $1 million, and we received staff support from State Coastal Conservancy for an additional $600,000 for that acquisition. And we also have bids coming in high. I talked about Hoodeman last time. We're even seeing our trail projects. So Edie, we're not alone with the trail to Crane Creek. We're seeing high bids come in at Calabasas road work and trail connections up there. So, and that's an improved road, so not paved road.
So it is worth it.
Yeah.
Nothing to report.
I think Sebastian, no grants being pursued lately, but likewise on recent grant receipts, the city applied for and obtained Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant. And I believe it's a $230,000 grant. The city's portion of the match brings it up to budget $260,000, I believe. So it's a grant to do the planning and look at the core downtown area with respect to the state highway running through there, how it splits the traffic into directional flow. So looking to revitalize and improve traffic flows in there, perhaps returning back to two-way traffic, some of that line along those lines. But so it's going to involve obviously quite a bit of study and planning and some regional cooperation, the bypass flows. So we just had a conditional award meeting, so getting that going. So we've got some deadlines coming up later this year, but moving forward on that. Good for that.
The city of Hillsburg, we're not pursuing any grants. We're trying to work through administering the grants that we have. Yeah. Was there other local agencies that got the ATP Cycle 6?
You guys were the lucky winners.
Okay, I was hoping I was hoping to share some misery or some guidance, but I guess we'll keep you updated how it's going. There's just been a lot of reporting requirements that kind of have showed up quickly. So trying to keep up to date with those, and I guess they're being administered through the Cal Smart interface. So
Santa Rosa has some of those, but it's tied up in the bicycle pedestrian overcrossing, so we haven't actually started yet. So if you learn anything, let me know.
You're the trailblazer.
So we're doing our best. We do have an executed contract. Finally, we went through the procurement process, so we do have an executed contract with our designer. So we are making progress. Okay, that was it.
I learned that we got a USDA grant for treescapes. It's $1 million, and I worked very indirectly with it, but trying to get more trees within the public right of way. So right now went out to bid Maria Drive, 4.2 million. I'll be able to report back on how things are at the next meeting. Bids are due October 19th, but I put in some areas where we could put trees in there. So, and I'm kind of looking forward to every time we have a project, we have no shortage of pavement reconstruction. Maybe we can put some trees in there. So trying to partner up with Relief and folks to do that work. So.
Santa Rosa about 2 hours ago submitted a application for the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods grant to close the funding gap for our bike ped overcrossing. So fingers crossed. I don't know when we hear back on that one. But it was due tomorrow, so we're a day early. I don't think I have anything else. We secured, or we chose the consultant for our active transportation plan update. We'll be using Alta Planning and Design. So that's gonna be starting, we'll start next month, but public outreach and things like that won't start until January, February. Like that.
No updates for that.
No.
On our end, we're working with Santa Rosa and Caltrans on the Hernan interchange project. That should open bids on the 4th, I believe, unless we have an addendum to extend that. And we're working closely with trying to get PG&E with their polls, so we can start construction on the 116, 121 roundabout project. With that, I'll go to Joanne, if you want to give an update on your recent successful grants and the big bid opening from yesterday.
And the big bid opening? I don't have a lot on that, but yeah, I have a list. Let's see. So we have, first of all, we are also submitting today a Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods grant for construction of smart pathway in Novato between Grant and Rush. Rush Creek Place. That is basically connecting from the downtown Novato station northward. And that's for construction of that one. We have pending applications, one with Caltrans for system-wide wayfinding, one with the Federal Railroad Administration's Corridor ID program, which is a minor dollar amount, but it is basically would be adoption into a process that would lead us towards more investment in the future. They anticipate awarding that in November. And then a second one with the FRA for what's called Federal State Partnership Funds, and we've requested funding for to pay for federal environmental clearance of Healdsburg to Cloverdale. And then we have, let's see, did I cover the new and the pending? Okay, and then the awards, as was already mentioned, we had 2 fabulous partnerships for affordable housing, sustainable communities, and both were successful. Thank you to the local jurisdictions and the housing parties on those partnerships. One's for the Windsor to support supplemental funding for the Windsor project, which we will need. And the other one was for the Petaluma North Station and some pedestrian pathway enhancements in the area. We went to Windsor Town Council, and thanks to Windsor for providing initial funding to construct a grade separated pedestrian and bike box under the track near the Windsor High School to be done as part of the Windsor project. We're going to collectively be seeking the finishing funding to be able to make it a real facility and not just the structural piece of it, but it's a great piece of the project. We're excited to be able to do it with the construction, the remaining construction on the Windsor extension. And then the big headline this week, was that just this week? Yes, was the Federal Railroad Administration's awarded us $32 million for funding half of 2 scope elements. One is systems and positive train control for Windsor to Healdsburg. That's about 28.1 or $28.2 million. And the other piece of that is half or 3.75 million of purchasing new freight locomotives for our freight services. And the goal is to match that with Air District funds, which we will now go off and seek, and then enable us to have enough freight locomotive capacity with Tier 4 locomotives for the whole line, even built out to Cloverdale. And yeah, I think that's it. Now we got to go find more money to finish Healdsburg. But we're a long way there, so that's great.
So Joanne, I saw just before the meeting, you guys opened bids earlier yesterday for the Petaluma North Station and 2 pathway segments. Did that come in under the estimate?
Under? No, not under. No. Hardly under. No, I don't know the details, honest, but I do think it's quite a bit over. So we'll sort through it all and figure it out. But and And you'll be hearing more. Our plan at this point, because we're also working on getting a lot of contracts out the door, as I understand it, we are still targeting our October board meeting for reactivation of the Windsor design build contracts to complete Windsor at again at October 18th, and then we will likely be calling a special board meeting for the Petaluma work. And when I say Petaluma work, it's a massively complicated contract. It's the Petaluma North Station, it's some rail and bike ped improvements across McDowell, it's some bike ped improvements across Corona, it's site improvements in the station area. It is the smart pathway from South Point to Main Street in Pengrove, as well as from Golf Course to Bellevue between Rohnert Park and Southwest Santa Rosa under one contract. So we'll be calling a special board meeting likely to award that in mid-early November.
Great, thank you for the update. Anyone else have anything to add or share for the group? And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much. So you see,
Start breaking ground on. Start breaking ground on.